It was September 23rd in the year 1846 that German astronomer Johann Gottfried Galle discovers the planet Neptune at the Berlin Observatory. Neptune, generally the eighth planet from the Sun, was postulated by the French astronomer Urbain Jean-Joseph Le Verrier, who calculated the approximate location of the planet by studying gravity-induced disturbances in the motions of Uranus. On September 23rd in 1846, Le Verrier informed Galle of his findings, and the same night, Galle and his assistant, Heinrich Louis d'Arrest, identified Neptune at their observatory in Berlin. Noting its movement relative to background stars over 24 hours confirmed that it was a planet. The blue gas giant, which has a diameter 4 times that of Earth, was named for the Roman god of the sea. Neptune has 8 known moons, of which Triton is the largest, and a ring system containing 3 bright and 2 dim rings. It completes an orbit of the Sun once every 165 years. In 1989, the U.S. planetary spacecraft Voyager 2 was the first human spacecraft to visit Neptune. It was September 23rd in the year 1933 that a party of American geologists landed at the Persian Gulf of Port Jebel in Saudi Arabia. They began a journey into the desert. That July, with the discovery of a massive oil field at Ghawar, Saudi King Abdel Aziz had granted the Standard Oil Company of California a concession to explore, search, drill, extract, manufacture, and transport petroleum and kindred bituminous matter in the country's vast eastern province. In turn, Standard Oil immediately dispatched the team of scientists to locate the most profitable spot for the company to begin its drilling. As automobiles and other internal combustion machines proliferated, both in the United States and around the globe, Standard Oil was eager to control as much of the market for gasoline as it could. As a result, it would do almost anything to have first dibs on Saudi oil. The partnership between Abdel Aziz's government and Standard Oil became known as the Arabian American Oil Company, Aramco. Texaco soon joined the partnership. About a decade later, so did Standard Oil of New Jersey and Socony Vacuum Oil. In 1950, once it had become clear how very much oil there was under that desert, Aramco agreed to split its profit with the Saudi government. In 1980, after several years of squabbling over the price and availability of the country's petroleum, Saudi Arabia was a founding member of the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC, whose 1973 embargo precipitated a massive fuel crisis in the U.S. and other parts of the industrial world. Saudis won total control of the company. It's now known as Saudi's Aramco. The next year, the kingdom's oil revenues reached $118 billion. On September 23rd in 1949, President Truman announced that the Soviets had exploded a nuclear device. In a surprisingly low-key and carefully worded statement, President Harry S. Truman, our nation's 33rd president, informs the American people that the Soviets have exploded a nuclear bomb. The Soviet accomplishment, years ahead of what was thought possible by most U.S. officials, caused a panic in the American government. The United States developed the atomic bomb during the latter stages of World War II and dropped 2 bombs on Japan in August of 1945. By the time of the bombings in Japan, relations between the U.S. and the Soviet Union were already crumbling. Many U.S. officials, including President Truman, came to see America's atomic monopoly as a valuable asset in the developing Cold War with Russia. Most American officials, and even the majority of scientists in the U.S., believed that it would be many years before the Soviets could develop an atomic bomb of their own, and by that time, the U.S. would have achieved a vast numeric superiority. On September 3rd, in 1949, however, U.S. scientists recorded seismic activity from inside the Soviet Union that was unmistakably the result of an underground nuclear test. Truman, informed of this development, at first refused to believe it. He ordered his scientific and military advisors to recheck their data. Once they confirmed the results, however, Truman had to face the fact that America's nuclear monopoly was gone. President Truman also had to face the task of informing the nation's people, for the news was sure to leak. On September 23rd, the president issued a brief statement to the media. "We have evidence," the statement read. "Within recent weeks, an atomic explosion occurred in the USSR. President Truman understood the seriousness of the event, but kept the nation at comfort by stating that the eventual development of this new force by other nations was to be expected. This probability has always been taken into account by the U.S. What had not been taken into account by the U.S. government was the fact that the Soviets, like the Americans, had captured many German scientists after World War II who had been working on nuclear development. In addition, our nation was unaware of the scope of Soviet spy efforts to gain valuable information. Years ahead of what Americans thought possible, the Soviets had exploded a nuclear device. Truman reacted by requesting an intensive reevaluation of America's Cold War policies by the National Security Council. The report issued to the president in early 1950 called for massive increases in military spending and a dramatic acceleration in the program to develop the next stage of nuclear weaponry, the hydrogen bomb. The historic information divulged and documented on this audio file can be verified on history.com.